second. Order, and we'll start the meeting with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I could ask the commissioners and anyone in the audience to silence. Oh, do we have some? Check, 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 check. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, could I ask the anyone in the audience and all the commissioners to silence their cell phones for the entirety of the meeting? And we will, let's start off with commissioners and, I don't know, our liaison and our land manager will start to my right.
Good evening, Charlie Foote, Town Council Liaison.
Jay Hildreth.
Rick Metz.
Elizabeth Carver.
Little green button, Val.
On the bottom, is the button, yep.
Val Conley.
Eileen Chabot, good evening.
Bob Sproul.
Excellent. Before we get into the approval of minutes, I'd like to welcome our latest commissioner and new commissioner, Val Conley, to my left. She was appointed for a 3-year term and sworn in tonight. Welcome, Val. Next, we'll take up approval of minutes from May 19th. And if you should all have a copy of that. If there are no objections, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
We have a first by Mr. Metz.
Good.
We have a question?
One correction, under land management, I already pointed it out. Mr. Sproul, it's supposed to be updated, not undated. It's already been corrected.
Okay, so are the minutes that we're looking at already corrected, or no? Are these corrected?
She corrected it, yeah.
Oh, she just corrected it. Okay, all right, so, Mr. Metz, would you accept the friendly amendment to your motion?
Certainly.
All right, so Mr. Metz has a motion on the floor to accept the minutes with a correction. Is there a second? Second by Jay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone in opposition? Any abstentions? It's unanimous. Next, we'll get into correspondence. We do have some correspondence. We have 2 communications from CELT regarding 2 of our properties. They're doing a annual monitoring of those properties, and I'm going to send these to my right first. There are questions. Every year they ask us, if we have any planned changes, do we have any plans to sell or transfer the properties, any questions or concern. I'm probably going to table responding to these after we impanel a chair to our reporting compliance subcommittee, because that'll be the responsibility of that chair. But I will send them to my right to look them over during the meeting, and then we'll probably take them up at the next meeting.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
So, point for the public, CELT is the abbreviation for Southeast Land Trust.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Sproul. SALT.
Also, may I ask, what are the 2 properties? Just to confirm. Is it Cornelius and
Shepherd Park. That's that one. And referred to as a Caris property. And the other is Hanson, Cavaretta, or Sawyer property.
And we'll send that your way, too. That'll come over to you. Another communication from, we okay? Another communication, check 1, 2. Are we doing it? Good, there we go. Okay, good. All right, another communication from DES regarding the final wetlands approval for for Scobie Pond Road, tax map 8, lot 17 and 17-1. I'll send that to my right. There was another communication, I think that was originated by Commissioner Chabot regarding the New Hampshire, from the New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions. Was that forwarded by you, Eileen?
Yes.
Okay, so I just have a comment on it, and it's just my feelings on it. They, in that communication, they went into a number of bills, probably like 5 or 6 bills that are presently in front of the legislature. And I think there are there was a couple of them that were probably outside of what I believe our purview is as a conservation commission. Our purview is pretty specific, that we're supposed to be preserving water resources, preserving land resources. Some of those bills got into, at least one of them got into things that fall under the purview of the zoning board and the planning board, things about number of units in buildings and density and stuff like that.
Yeah, something to understand is that what I sent, okay, is from the New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions, which is the statewide nonprofit that helps conservation commissions on different issues.
And
And-
we're a member of that.
I'm also on the legislative subcommittee,
Yeah.
so I deal with those bills. And our executive director for NHACC attends some of those hearings even. And she sends that information by way of awareness, in case you as an individual perhaps are caring about a particular issue, whether or not it's the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission. You may have an opinion about it, and you may want to take your own individual initiative on it. So it's sent to just make you aware.
Gotcha.
Okay?
We are a member of that association. We pay dues to them annually. It's just my position. I mean, other commissioners
Yeah.
might have just a different position, but I feel that at least from my perspective, I think the Conservation Commission has a pretty incredible purpose as it is, and I don't think it should be muddled in any way by things that are unrelated to clean water
No, we
and preserving
don't
property.
have to take action on those bills as a commission.
Right.
It's just more, if you as an individual care about a particular bill, maybe you want to write to your senator or your representative about it.
Yeah, well, it was a little bit more than that, though, Eileen. It said,
And, no, it's also, just to make you all aware, the NHACC, as a nonprofit, takes a position on
Right.
some of these bills.
yeah,
Okay, they review them, and they take a position as to whether they're going to oppose them, or they're going to support them, or maybe they're going to take no action on, there's not going to be any letters sent from the NHACC.
and that email said that they're taking either a positive or a negative position on those bills. And like I said, I mean, maybe everything they're doing is great. I
And that's
can't.
the purview of the NHACC.
Yeah, I want to
They
just
can do
stay in our
that.
lane when
It's
it comes
It's
to.
not to tell the Conservation Commission what to do in any way, shape, or manner.
Right.
It's just awareness. That's all it is.
All right, so as an individual, not as the
Not as a
commission,
board, no.
I'm gonna probably send a communication to them from my perspective on the dues that we pay to that association. I want to say it's close to $500 a year to be a part of that association. And I think they do great work. They make that great manual for us that is incredibly informative, and they provide some great literature. I don't want to see from them things that are outside the purview of what our responsibility is.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's just my position. That's the way I took it. And I actually highlighted the RSA Chapter 36A, and it's very specific that a Conservation Commission exists for the proper utilization and protection of natural resources and for the protection of watershed resources in the said city or town. And I try hard to kind of stay in that lane, because that's a huge responsibility, and I don't think we need to add any other
No,
responsibilities to
again,
that.
it's not asking the Conservation Commission to take any action whatsoever. It's just to elevate your awareness, your personal awareness to environmental issues of various kinds.
Got it. So that's all I have for correspondence. Anyone else have any correspondence they want to share? Seeing none, we'll go into site plan review for Grindhouse. Are we calling it Grindhouse? Is that what we're calling it? Yep, Grindhouse 43.5 Crystal Ave. It's a 6-acre parcel We have Doug McGuire here from Dubay Group, and he's going to run through it for us.
You guys have the mouse? Did I lose that? For,
Pointer?
I was just gonna pull up the, I put a couple electronic.
Uh,
So I can get started.
Yeah, go ahead, go for it. We have the plans too until they get you going.
So, for the record, Doug McGuire with the Dubay Group, here representing Grindhouse Meat Company LLC. This project, some of you may have seen this previously. It came in a slightly different form. This is a property located off of Crystal Ave. It has its only access point, which is a access right to the left of the Gibbs gas station, coming off of Crystal Ave. And a site that it doesn't have a ton of visibility, as you can kind of see on the cover. It does sit back behind some of the other businesses on the street. But originally, we had come forward with a proposal for a meat shop and like a butcher shop, a shared restaurant in the middle, in between a brewery and the meat shop. And so it was one larger building, and for one reason or another, costs and getting the feedback from their contracts and everything on that, it just was very, very expensive to build because of just the vast size of it, and also because it laid, thank you very much, it laid a pad that is sloping. It had to be a much larger pad, flat, to do that. So we took a fresh look at this. The brewery is no longer part of the proposal, and the focal point is going to be a meat shop and restaurant all in one building. I mean, they'll have separate entrances, but it would be a 150-seat restaurant with a butcher shop with a USDA cutting room in that primary building. We have
Greek? You say Greek restaurant?
no, a
Meat restaurant?
it was, yeah. So it's a butcher with a USDA cutting room on one side, and then a 150-seat restaurant. I don't know the exact details of the restaurant, but it's intended to be, I think, serving steak tips, burgers, that type of thing.
American
So,
Fair.
so we also have two other out parcel buildings. These are gonna be intended to be more of like a future phase, a phase 2, if you will. There's a 3,000 square foot building off to the east on the right-hand side, and off on the left, we have a 5,000 square foot, which is intended to be a professional office type building. The intent will be that the entire site will be built out, all the support structure and everything will be built out, just the building pads will kind of come as a potential future phase. But the infrastructure is intended to be built as it is.
So the center section's going to be built, and the two outbuildings will be built out when they're leased?
Correct, and I mean, the vast majority of the parking and circulation will be built as well as part of the first phase.
Will the landscape plan be completed in the first phase?
Everything associated with the area and the perimeter landscaping, the only things that wouldn't be would be things directly adjacent to the buildings, the future buildings that might, be impacted as part of the future construction of the building. But everything else, as far as
All the drainage and stuff?
Oh, yeah, all the drainage, everything is gonna be put in. And speaking of drainage, it's very similar to the original plan that was submitted. We have a wet pond on the, I guess my orientation was wrong. When I was looking at the cover, I think we have we have our north arrow on there, so I apologize. But north is going to the left of the page. So to the north, we're going to have a wet pond in that area. That's providing us our treatment of our stormwater primary treatment. We also have a secondary pond to the east behind the meat shop and restaurant building. And that's exactly kind of what we had previously. We had two pond systems that were kind of working together. The primary outlet to this entire project actually goes under what used to be the McDonald's, or is it still a McDonald's?
Still McDonald's.
Yeah, still McDonald's. Their parking lot, that point right there, that's where there's two large culverts that flow to the, I guess, southwest, call it, under the McDonald's parking lot, and that's our primary outflow from the project. No wetland impacts proposed on the property. There weren't any in the first iteration. We continue to not have any proposed impacts on this. So, as I said, kind of a different, slightly different layout, but a lot of the same similarities. I did bring a copy of the old plan digitally. If there was any questions on that, if you want me to pop that one up, I can do that as well. But from there, I'll turn it back to the commission, and if there's any specific questions I can answer, I'm happy to do so.
There's the drainage, I guess.
Okay, commissioners. Any questions or comments for the applicant? I have one regarding snow storage. I always have one regarding snow storage. So it looks like the snow storage is on the northeast side. Is that the northeast side of the plan?
We do, yeah, we do have a couple different areas of snow storage. The primary one was in that northeast quadrant. We had some on the
I see it on the west
western
side.
along that area, and there could honestly be some opportunity for some additional snow, I guess, if you looked to the right of the restaurant, behind that area right there, because that would naturally drain into that pond system in the rear. Obviously, we look to try to get snow in a position that it could kind of naturally make its way into the treatment system. Another item that we did contemplate, it was talked about at the TRC meeting, was we do have more parking than we're required to have. There will be times where there will be an opportunity to kind of use some of the parking lot, maybe a few spaces, and stack some of the snow. You commonly see that in some of the larger developments, and there would be an opportunity to potentially do that here as well, because we do have some extra parking, and I think this would be, the real need for that parking would probably be more in the summer months. I think they're a little bit busier during that
Right.
time, so there may be a few extra parking spaces that they could utilize. And then, of course, we always put the notes on the site plan requiring any snow in excess of the storage on site that have to be removed in a proper manner to a actual snow facility.
Yeah, I see the Snow Pro cert on here.
This parking lot fills.
So we don't love when snow melts into the wetland untreated.
Right.
That's why we like, and from, unless it's changed since we've last checked, snow storage and parking spots don't affect the parking plan. So when you show snow storage on parking spots, at least historically, I don't know if that's changed, you can check if it has. That's why we try to come to the TRC to kind of flesh this out at the beginning. Because ideally, snow storage in the parking lot gets treated, right? Because it's gonna drain into the drainage system. If it's in the area that is not paved, especially close to a wetland in the top of this page, we're less concerned about the snow melting and going in the wetland. We're more concerned about all the stuff that's in the snow going in the wetland. And you,
Well,
you know.
just for clarification, that snow pile that we're showing is off pavement. That actually will drain into that pond system.
Yeah, they won't.
What's it? I mean our treatment system.
Your wet
Well, it's gonna,
pond.
it's
Our
gonna,
wet pond,
yeah, your wet pond. But the like I said, the problem isn't, and if you've ever been up in Walmart after the winter, Walmart's real good about going in there in the spring and taking all the plastic bags that were in the snow that ended up in their drainage system and cleaning it out. And there was actually a Derry resident that did it. I don't know if she still does it. She used to go up there on her own and just go in there and clean it up. That's the drawback. The drawback is that, all the debris that would normally get treated in the swales, in the treatment system that are then serviced, cleaned out, end up in those drainage ponds, retention ponds, and drainage swales. So, and I know it's hard when it's a huge snow event, you gotta put the snow somewhere, but ideally, we like to see snow storage. If it can't be in the curbed area, we would prefer to see it on this plan where it's on the bottom of the plan, furthest from the wetland, so it has all that time to kind of meander into the drainage system. So it looks like the only glaring one I see is that one up there. Any other commissioners see anything else when it comes to snow storage that they'd like to add? No? No one else? Beth, you recognized?
I do have a question about snow storage. So I used to plow snow, and I'm wondering what, I never knew any of, you know what I mean? Like when I was plowing snow, we just kind of put the snow wherever it seemed like we could put the snow. And I'm wondering, I don't know what the process is, I guess, to make sure that the snow ends up in the correct spot.
Yeah, so if it's inside the curbed area, then when it melts, it goes into the catch basins. And the catch basins have a sump in them, so any debris gets trapped in the bottom of the sump, and then once that sump gets filled, you hire a company out to clean the sump out. If it's put on the grassy area adjacent to a wetland, it'll kind of perk, so it's going to melt and seep into the ground and eventually end up in that retention pond. The problem is all the trash bags and cups and all that straws and all that stuff also go in there. Where when it's in the curbed area, it's less likely for that to happen, and it gets swept with a street sweeper or something like that, whoever they're cleaning the parking lot.
Yeah, so just to clarify my question, because I do understand that that's the purpose of like these. I guess my question is, when it comes to the boots on the ground, people who are plowing the snow, how is that communicated to them?
So they're told in the snow plan, the removal plan, where the storage areas are. They're told in advance that the snow's stored in these sections.
Okay, so the snow removal company is supposed to be communicating that
Yeah.
to the people
Right.
behind the plow trucks.
And if you ever go to Walmart on these huge snow events, you see how they pile up the snow kind of in the middle of the parking lot?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that, ideally, that's the best scenario because it melts and meanders into if you ever drive down Shenito Road at the medical facilities, they push the snow into the wetland, and I've been complaining about it, so I'll talk about it on the air as much as I can, to hopefully they'll stop at some point. So they actually pile it up and push it into the wetland, and that wetland is filled with debris because of that.
Well, I guess I'll put a pin in that question and we can take it not in the meeting. We'll follow up later.
Any other questions on snow storage, and can we make a recommendation maybe
Mr.
on this
Chair?
plan? Yes,
Could I just ask a question?
absolutely, good.
How much, I'm kind of concerned also in regards to what's going to go in that wet pond. What about salting the parking lot? Not just the snow going in there, but is it going to be salted around the parking lot?
Well, as you probably know, and this does trigger an alteration of terrain permit with DES. And
Okay.
so, as part of that permitting process, we do have to do a salt minimization plan, and the Green Snow Pro certification that the chair mentioned.
Yep.
That if you're certified, you're not just winging salt everywhere.
No.
There's very specific.
No, I know
quantities.
that program.
So, I mean, I think, so. I
And
mean, I
you're
guess-
probably going to be required by DES then to have a maintenance plan for the management of the wet ponds as well.
There is, yes.
Yep, okay.
So, I mean, all of that will factor in, and the hope is that they're using only what's necessary and in the manner necessary to get the maximum result when.
Correct. I didn't realize you were subject to an alteration of terrain
Yeah,
permit
it's
for
close,
this.
we're barely over, but we are over.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Anything else on snow storage before we move on? Go ahead, Val.
When you had recommended it in the curbed area, did you mean this front section, just behind Gibbs with the it looks like two drains in the front.
Yeah, so that one's actually not in the curbed area. However, it is furthest away from our water resource. So if you can't put it in the curbed area, the next best thing would be to get it as far away from the water resource. From our perspective, we look at everything from a water resource, water quality perspective, right? Anything else on the snow storage? Would anyone be willing to make a recommendation about the snow storage shown on the northeast part of the plan in the, we'll call it the grassy area? Anyone interested about in maybe making a provision to suggest a change in that?
Location? I guess I would be willing to make a motion to recommend, if it's possible, to move that snow storage location that's behind the restaurant to another location towards the front of the property, if possible.
Would you accept a friendly amendment, Eileen, to that motion?
Sure, I would accept it. Go ahead.
Would moving it into the curbed area also be sufficient to you in that motion? If we could move it from the grassy area to in the curbed area?
If it's possible to do so.
All right, so Eileen has a motion requesting that the applicant, if possible, to move the snow storage area, I'm going to call that the northeast side of the plan, and show that snow storage area in the curbed area instead of the non-curbed area. Does that sound right, Eileen? Does that sound sufficient, that motion?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's Eileen's motion. Is there a second? So there's a second by Eileen. Any discussion on that motion?
Are we looking for any specific or just inside the curbed area? Is that basically,
You'd have to ask
well,
the motion maker.
yeah. Are you looking at just inside the curbed?
I'm looking to get it inside the curbed, not only inside the curbed area, but as far away from that area behind the restaurant as possible.
So more so it drains towards Crystal Ave versus draining back into the wetlands?
Yes, correct, yes.
Just
If it's possible.
I think everything drains into that. I think the whole parking lot drains back, right?
Yeah, it does all drain to that wet pond, but, I mean, so believe it or not, actually putting it on the southern side would probably put it through the most extensive amount of treatment, going through multiple basins to get to the wet pond. So, I think that might be a good location for it, is to utilize some of those spaces.
And is that inside the curbed area?
Oh, yeah.
Eileen, do you want to
Okay,
modify?
so you see that that's possible to do
Yeah,
then?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, awesome,
In this
okay.
case, yeah.
Eileen, do you want to amend your motion? He's saying that he's offering that he could put it in the curbed area on the southern part of the plan.
Okay, I would move that the applicant relocate the snow storage area to the southern area of the property,
Inside the curbed area?
inside the curbed area.
All right, so we're still on that same motion. We have a modification in the motion. Is the second still appropriate? Yes. Okay, so we have a first and a second on the motion to move the snow storage area from the grassed area to the curbed area on the southern part of the plan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? That's unanimous. Any other comments on this plan?
Yes.
Eileen? I'm sorry, Grace. Grace,
It's okay.
sorry.
You've been on vacation.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, now I forgot what I was gonna say. Never mind. I'll withdraw.
Okay, Val, you're
I just
recognized.
had a question. Moving it to the southern part of the property with your later phase and putting that second building in, will that affect where the snow storage would be once that building were to be up?
I wouldn't think so, just because where I had in mind, it was kind of the spaces.
That no one's gonna use,
What's that?
that no one's gonna use right against
Well,
that back
the
area.
ones that are gonna see less use.
Yeah, right.
I mean, obviously, bringing it up in the front, that first parking lot, that's gonna get used probably the most. So I was thinking on that side area, that's gonna be more where employees park and that type of thing. And, I mean, obviously, as the business owners, if they feel that their stored area isn't sufficient because they still need the spaces, then they'll just end up probably trucking it off-site. Because there's legal sites that you can take the snow, and they dispose of it in an environmentally safe way, not just dump it and let it go wherever. They kind of melt it and put it through a system.
And that's a part of the snow maintenance plan that'll be
Yeah.
established with DES?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that, so the snow plan that they're referring to in the plan, it's in, let's see, where was it? It was in note 5. Yeah, note 5 of the plan says that it has to be a Green Snow Pro certified contractor, so that certification is a legitimate certification. They look at the overall property, and they have to create a snow plan for that property regarding salt use, regarding storage, regarding all of that stuff. So it's good to have that on the plan. We should probably think about, as a commission, making that one of our, maybe at TRC, Rick, maybe making that one of our kind of standard requirements once a plan exceeds a certain size. Any other comments on this plan?
I do
Beth?
have one comment. I just noticed on the landscape plan on page 5, there's a note that says allow to naturalize, allow to naturalize to promote existing plant and wildlife habitat. And to me, what I see happening is invasive species naturalizing there. And so I wonder if maybe that could be changed to some kind of a native plant seed mix being. That's what I would like to see anyway. But
Beth, which
I'll
note are
get
you
to that.
referring to on the plan?
so page 5, and it is in the top left corner. Right below, preserve and protect all existing trees and vegetation during construction. Allow to naturalize to promote existing plant and wildlife habitat.
So if we could change that description to read, allow to naturalize to promote existing plant and wildlife habitat, and remove any invasive species as they appear, would that be sufficient?
If that's realistic, I think that would be sufficient, yeah.
Would the applicant consider adding that to the plan?
Yeah, I think, I mean, just to clarify, when we say allow to naturalize, what we kind of mean, it's not that it's a raw, we don't leave a raw slope system and then allow, because you're right, that's the first thing that's gonna happen, is invasives are gonna take that
Right.
before anything else. The entire area will be loamed and seeded. It's just that from a maintenance perspective, if there's small, you know,
Yeah, you're not gonna mow it.
saplings and stuff
Yeah.
growing up,
Yeah.
they're not gonna be on top of it mowing it like turf grass. So it will have a seed mixture in accordance with our plans, which is on our site details. 1 talks about our planting mix and our seed mixes and how we handle that type of stuff. It's just that we
Is
were
that on
saying.
page 6?
What's
Is that on page 6 that you're referring to?
Oh, no, P12
P12.
it's our general erosion control notes
Okay.
that also talks about our seeding method and our mixture. So, I mean,
Okay.
we're gonna be
Establish
looking to,
okay.
when this is constructed, when those ponds are constructed, those are gonna be hydro-seeded with that seed mix and, and brought up so that they're stable, and that's gonna be the priority. And then beyond that, once they're stable, the note was more intended to just say, they're not gonna mow it on a regular basis. They'll certainly do it seasonally, and that's part of our O&M maintenance that's within our pond system discussion. So, I mean, if we wanna say something, I mean, to add to that note, but I just wanna clarify that the intent is not that that was gonna be left as raw soil and hope that it just naturalizes on its own. It will be seeded and stabilized right out of the gate.
All right, so noting that Beth is not a seated commissioner and she can't make a motion, is there anyone interested in making a motion that would change the description on that part of the plan and add to it that invasive species will be eradicated when they become apparent. Is anyone interested in doing that?
I'm of the mind that there has to be more positive action, preventative action from the start. Just because dealing with the removal of them is a lot harder than preventing them in the first place, in my experience. So I'd rather see something like Beth was recommending, that there be a specific seed mix for natural, native plants.
And there is. I just read on.
Yeah, it's on page 16.
On note number 5A, that you're using a New England native seed mix, and I think that's wonderful.
Oh, good,
Yeah.
okay. All right, then we don't need a motion then, right? 'Cause it's-
Not, I think the seed mix is covered. I think, just to speak to Beth's comment,
On page 5.
if we wanted to change that highlight in the plan, that's the appropriate way of doing it. So if there's no one that's interested in making that motion, are there any other comments on the plan? Last chance, seeing none. You gonna let them leave?
I would like to make a motion just to add a note in there, just to make sure that it's highlighted that there will be some prevention or just notice of any invasive species that would come up.
All right, so Val, let's get that in the form of a motion. So you're talking specifically about that note on the plan that Beth was referring to?
Yes, I believe it's
Okay.
on page 5.
Where is it?
Page 5.
Page 5. I would like to make a motion to have a note on page 5 amended, just on the northeast side of the property, above the green area there. There's a note stating currently allowed to naturalize to promote existing plant and wildlife habitat. I'd like to make a motion for the contractor opportunity to include some notice there about invasive species. For instance, allowing to naturalize with the support of the New Hampshire seed that is there listed in the plans, as you'd mentioned. Just to have that added on to there. So, sorry.
That's okay. I can help, you want me to help you with the motion?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, so there's a note on the plan, so this is going to be a friendly amendment.
Thank you, sir.
There's a note on the plan that says allow to naturalize to promote existing plant and wildlife habitat with an effort to eradicate invasive species as they become evident. How does that sound?
That sounds great. Thank you for that friendly amendment.
All right, so that, we have a motion on the plan. You'd have to, now you have to agree to this stuff. We can't force you to do it because we're pretty far down that road at this point. However, we do urge you to consider it. So the motion on the floor is to add the invasive eradication to that highlighted area note on the plan on page 5 of 19. Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
So we have a first by Val, a second by Mr. Metz. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Abstentions?
Me.
So that's unanimous. Oh,
I'm opposed.
okay, so we have one opposition. So the vote is 6-1-0 with a nay from Grace. And you basically, if you agree to do that, you can agree, or you can tell us you don't want to do it. So that's basically it.
Yeah, I don't see an issue modifying the note.
All right, so let the minutes show that the note will be changed. Anything else for the applicant? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, nice work. We're excited about it. I'm going to give you this full set back, but if we could hold on to the smaller ones, is that cool?
It's up to you.
Yeah.
If you want the big one, you can.
No, you can reuse this for somebody else. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Nice work. It's closer than going all the way up to, what is that?
Sure is.
Yeah. Raymond, right? Yeah, Raymond.
Good night.
Okay, committee reports. Actually, before we do committee reports, Mr. Metz took off? Okay, I guess
They'll be back.
he'll be back. Okay. So we're going to do committee reports. When Mr. Metz gets back, we might interrupt committee reports for a quick motion. So first committee report is from Community Garden, Jay Hildreth.
We've had a successful, plans met with the rain holding off long enough to allow tilling to occur it was on Thursday, and a subsequent, I saw Beth, I drove by and she was frantically doing the staking herself, trying to find pieces of string. And she was working like a whirlwind. I couldn't believe it, but she felt very called to get this done. The urgency of our wet season that we had is, that we need to get going here with growing. And indeed, it happened on Saturday. We had an opening where there was an attendance of about 6 to 8 people as they wandered through, and most of the people were starting to look at their beds, but also Beth was demonstrating a method to do a raised bed gardening, and I actually filmed it with my video on my phone, which I guess she reported worked out well for her.
Mm-hmm.
And I hopefully could be a set of something in a library for demonstrations and education in the future. So I look forward to that concept being brought forward. I personally have a garden there too, and it's very joyous to be outside with the community. That's what this is all about. This is what we're doing. As a conservation commission, there are many kind people that, I didn't have a hammer to hammer my poles. Hammer came over, and there's just very cooperative and friendly people. One woman was giving away very unusual tomato species that she had grown.
What kind was it, Jay? Can I ask?
I would
So many
say that
kinds.
she is the unusual tomato
So many.
species hobbyist.
Yeah.
I've never heard of them.
Like 30 different types of different varieties of tomatoes.
Really, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like heirloom though, heirloom tomato. All,
Say again.
A lot of feedback there.
they're heirlooms though. They're not hybrids.
Not all of them, I think she said, were heirlooms. Some of them were like newly bred
Yeah.
varieties too. Yeah.
There were breeders, she was mentioning a
Like
breeder
local
in
breeders,
Georgia
yeah.
who had very unique ways of naming his breeds.
That's cool. That's very cool.
It was a hobby.
Bless you.
Bless you.
It was a hobby, and she is growing them and selling them and giving them away.
Is your mic on, Jay? Everyone's mic on, little green light on at the bottom?
Testing.
Testing.
Okay. You got
Testing.
us all? Oh, all right, good. We're good? Yes?
Sorry.
You on, Jay?
Testing.
Yeah, you're good. Thank you. Sorry, Jay, to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Well, I know Beth will be doing her reporting, and I'm sure she'll cover a lot of what I just had to say.
I did have one thing that I wanted to bring up during your report, Jay, which is that we did have someone reach out who lives in Londonderry requesting a plot. And I would like to get a feel from the commissioners as far as if that is something that we can accommodate, or if the plots are strictly reserved for Derry residents.
What was the question?
So there was someone who lives in Londonderry who requested a plot at the community garden. And I wanted to get a feel from the commissioners if we're strictly keeping this to Derry residents, or if we would entertain that request.
All right, so that would require a motion. Do you want to jump into that right now, commissioners?
Yeah, we don't, I mean, I guess I do have to tell her something at
Yeah,
some
let's-
point.
let's-
about-
That's
yeah.
for the
Yeah, let's knock it
leftover
out.
plot that you have, plot number 27, where someone wanted to put cardboard over it because they were worried about the weeds?
Yes, and actually, that same woman, Karen, who brought the tomatoes, is taking that plot. So
Oh,
she's
she
she's
is.
going to be tending it, and she's
Okay.
very good and on top of like tending her plots too.
Okay.
And we did have one person drop out
Oh.
due to life circumstances, so there's exactly one plot available, and I haven't sent the email yet asking other Derry resident community gardeners if they want it, because there's that one sort of waiting in queue.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so just to get back to that motion, so this motion should probably be in the affirmative. So the motion should sound something like the Derry community gardens can only be reserved and used by Derry residents, something to that effect, and then we'll vote it one way or the other. Is there a motion that would be willing to make a motion like that?
I'll take a shot at it.
Go ahead.
The Derry Public Gardens should be restricted to Derry residents, but if there's no Derry resident and an extra plot, then outsiders should be allowed to be considered
Neighboring communities.
neighboring communities,
Okay, so
not outsiders.
there's a motion by Grace that the Derry community gardens can only be used by Derry residents unless there's a vacancy, and then they could be used by surrounding communities. Is there a second on that motion?
I have a question.
Question on the motion, Val.
Just on the process of how we would consider neighboring community members to apply, is that something that we should reach out to Derry residents again and see, hey, last call, last chance, are you interested
Yes.
as a Derry resident? And then if no one's,
Yeah, that would be the practice. So typically what Will would do is if there was an extra plot, Will, who was doing this job of managing the community gardens prior, he, if there was an extra plot, he would just email all of the community gardeners and say, hey, there's an extra plot. Does anybody want it?
All right, so we have a first, and we're now in discussion. We do not have a second. Is there any other discussion on the motion?
I'll make a second.
Before you make your second, I have some discussion. So I think that my position is, and I'll vote accordingly, is that the Derry Public Gardens should be exclusively for Derry residents. And if there's a second plot, it should be given to a second plot should be given to a Derry resident that wants two plots. That's my position. But so we have a first. Is there a second on the
That's
motion?
actually what I said.
Yeah. What if there
Was-
isn't?
Derry
well,
Yeah.
community, if the Derry community didn't want it.
Okay.
So
Can we,
So-
she did need to go back to them and give
Mr.
them
Chair?
another opportunity that now there's an empty.
Okay.
spot,
So
so-
all right. So you
Yeah.
meant even if
So
someone
that was
had
the
multiple plots.
prerequisite.
can,
Yeah, so it would have, even if we exhausted and someone wanted multiple plots, what is our, Eileen,
can we make a friendly amendment to that motion, Grace, and
Yes.
say, as Beth pointed out, that we should offer that available plot to our community garden membership, who are consist of Derry residents first, and do a last call and see if anyone's interested in it first?
and what's our threshold for the number of plots that we allow Derry residents?
36.
No, I mean per resident.
Oh, 2.
Right,
But-
so this would break that threshold? Will we break that threshold of
break it?
2?
I mean,
Or-
we are.
Or would someone step forward and maybe want a second plot?
Yeah, we do break that already.
We
There's,
do?
there's
Okay.
a woman with 3 right now.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, so the motion to clarify, and then I'll accept a second, is that we first will be exhausting Derry residents. And if, once all of the Derry residents have gotten the plots that they wanted, if there's any excess plots, then we will offer them to the surrounding communities. That's the motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Yeah, I think we went back to discussion, though. Thank you, Tammy. So second by Mr. Metz.
There be a time limit for the response from Derry residents? So we're not waiting till August?
If you take back your second, we can go back to discussion, Mr. Metz.
Yep, rescinded.
So Mr. Metz rescinds his second.
May
And we're
I,
gonna-
Maybe 7
may I
days?
offer a suggestion?
We have, so we, first we
am I allowed
have,
to do
Grace
that?
is suggesting that we have a time limit on when people reply, and now I recognize Beth with a suggestion.
Could the motion include something like we can figure it out this year, and maybe the motion could include something like we will establish a process of reaching out to Derry residents, because we are going to be, getting into social media and like bigger outreach to the community. So maybe, for this year, we'll just kind of, do it as we see fit, and then we can make in the motion that we'll establish an official process for that next year.
I'm not sure. You like that? Okay.
Yeah, I agree that there's an effort to make more notification, that we're talking about having, website access where we'll be able to communicate with the public. And we want to expand on that ability. We want to make it that there is no condition that a non-resident has an opportunity, that Derry residents have taken up all the plots. That's a goal.
Okay, so we are currently at a motion without a second in discussion. Grace, did you say you were taking back your motion? You're taking it back? So the motion's been repealed. There's no longer a motion on the floor. Chair's going to make a motion, just because I feel like we need to at least put this to bed for this year. Chair's motion is that the Derry Public Gardens will be exclusively for Derry residents until the Conservation Commission changes its rules regarding the Derry Public Gardens. That's my motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Val. First by myself, second by Val. Is there discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, is unanimous. So we can take this up as new business over the off-season and come up with the policy for next year. We are at Gardens. Are we done, Jay, with Gardens for now?
Yes.
Okay, Jay is done. Mr. Metz, personnel.
Okay, the only personnel motion I have is to nominate Val Connolly as chair of the Reporting Compliance Committee.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to nominate our new commissioner, Val Conley, to chair the Reporting Compliance Subcommittee. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. You got a huge pay raise. Your pay just tripled.
Doubled.
Yeah. Mr. Metz, while we're on personnel.
Yep.
We have to backfill the rest. So a couple of things have happened here at the commission in the past. A lot of things have happened at the commission in the past few months. I think more that's happened in the previous 5 years. But we have our committees, they are all chaired. We don't have, we need 2 members on each committee in order for those committees, I think, to function at a high level. So 2 people with the chair, 2 people with the land manager, getting the work done between meetings. I think it becomes much more important over the next few months, because we're meeting once a month, and there has to be work done between our meetings. So I currently am a second member on 2 committees, and Mr. Metz is a second member on 2 committees. Ms. Reisdorf is a second member on 1 committee. We need to backfill the rest of these committees. Do I have any interest in joining Jay on the Community Gardening Subcommittee as a second member?
I'd like to join.
All right, so Val is going to join Jay on the Community Garden Subcommittee. Do we have any interest in someone joining Eileen in the State Compliance Subcommittee?
May I join as that one as well? That would be some good experience.
Okay, sure.
Okay, Eileen is, She's a wealth of information, so you're going to learn a lot on that subcommittee. Yeah. All right, so Val has now joined 2 committees. The last one that we have to backfill is the very active Land Maintenance Committee, chaired by Bob Spurl. Is anyone interested in joining Bob on that committee?
I would.
Jay? Okay, great. Okay, so I would like to see a motion that the following members have joined the following committees. Val has joined as a second member on the Community Garden Committee. Val has joined as a second member on the State Compliance Committee, and Jay has joined as a second member on the Land Maintenance Committee. Can I get a motion to that?
Make a motion to accept the slate as presented.
All right, so Bob has made a motion to install those members in those committees. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Grace. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none. That's unanimous. Okay, so all of our,
Question?
yes.
Where do we have the job descriptions for these committees?
In new-
Or outlines of what, because I'm stuck on, and Beth and I have talked about it, and Rick, on the public outreach piece of it. We can make it what we want,
Right.
but there's no guidelines on some of the properties that we have that we need to be involved in and get to understand. And I'm sure I would like to see job descriptions on all of these, so, or some.
Right, Jay and I have actually been talking about
What
that.
I'm doing on these committees.
Okay,
My
Jay.
strong
Yeah, go ahead.
suggestion has been from my past, when you get involved with a responsibility, you're struggling to understand it, but start with a draft and expose it to the people in the know, and pretty soon you'll be the expert. And
Okay.
and then in the future, what you're doing in the future, you're allowing this existing document for the next crew, and they're going to better that. You'll be providing a foundation of understanding and knowledge for each of these roles.
Okay.
And this really comes from you first, and you'll get the scrutiny from the rest of us.
That makes sense. Now, some of the compliance issues, though, are
Yeah.
also
And
things, the rules and regs, that's Eileen's bailiwick.
You know what, can I join you on that, on the public outreach and help
Absolutely.
you? Okay.
Sure, we could use a third member.
All right, so we're going to add
If
a
you
member.
guys will make a motion to that effect, I would like to join.
Can you have a third
Grace?
member? Was there a specific
So
reason
the
that there
problem
were
with having a
two?
third member is if you guys meet, you have to take minutes. It becomes a meeting. It becomes a meeting of, is that right, Charlie? Am I getting that right? Oh, it's 4.
But
Oh,
Beth,
so
you're
yeah,
not
so
a
three's
member,
great.
right?
So
You're not a
three's good.
member.
Now that
No, I don't
now that
count.
we have 7, right?
Yeah.
Before, like
So
up until yesterday, we only had 6 yesterday.
Doesn't matter, the
how is it 3? I
Quorum's
don't
always
see
4.
how it's.
So it's 4?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's 4. So we're good.
No.
I mean, it's just going to be Grace and I, and Beth is not a member, so it's just
Rick.
2 members that'd be public outreach.
No, Rick Metz is
No,
also on
Rick
Oh,
public
Metz is
you're
not.
in
outreach.
public outreach too?
Yeah.
I didn't know that, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
That's
It's
okay.
not on the
So
paper, so I didn't
three's
know.
good. Three's good. All right, so we need a
Oh, okay,
motion
I'm
to
sorry.
have Eileen join the Public Outreach Subcommittee. And then I,
So moved,
okay,
gratefully.
all right, good. All right, so it's moved by,
Eagerly.
moved by Grace. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Metz. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, hearing none, it's unanimous. To answer your question, Eileen, in my other business, I was waiting to fill all the committees, and I have it in my other business to talk about writing up, as the first order of business, writing up the job description of the subcommittee. And Jay is absolutely right, because you got to make it what you want it to be and make it fun for yourself, or you're not going to do it. So make it, I mean, certain things like, Val, yours is going to be easy. You're going to call Selt, ask them what they need. You're going to call Welchip, ask them what they need, and they're going to tell you, and you're going to do it. So that's pretty simple, right? That's not real hard. But the other ones, like the ones that are vague, like yours, Grace, public outreach, it could mean different things to different people. If you're if you're a webmaster, you're going to do your public outreach using social media and all that other stuff. If you're,
Done a lot of writing, I'll figure out something.
yeah, so make it what's fun for you. Okay, so we are done with personnel, Mr. Metz?
Yes.
All right, Eileen, you are up on state compliance if you have anything.
I do not have a report this evening on that.
Okay, no report. Property maintenance, Mr. Spurl.
Nothing to update other than, at the moment, we have a planned date of the 14th to go to Cornelius and do some trail maintenance.
Fantastic. Land acquisition, the gentleman that I was working with at L-Chip has just left L-Chip and gone to Selt. And we're working on the same property, which is they kind of both do the same thing. So we're still working on that property that we had the non-public on, and we're working on it with a different acronym than we were before. And as soon as we have something to report out on that, we'll go into non-public, and I'll report out on that. Reporting compliance, Val, I'm guessing you probably don't have a report since you've been chairing that for all of 5 minutes now. So we'll look for a report from you next meeting. TRC, Mr. Metz.
Yeah, I have a TRC coming up the 13th. I don't have the property offhand, but I'm sorry we missed the Grindhouse when they presented it, because we were both away. Rick and I were both away, but I'm glad he came in tonight and
Yeah, that worked out.
made his plans tonight, so
Yeah, that worked
so
out.
everybody could see it. Other than that, that's all I have for that.
And Grace, anything on public outreach?
Yeah, Beth and I hopefully are going to get together now that the garden is open, and I'm seeing a little down curve after this week in my schedule, so hopefully we can get together to determine what land use we can use for the.
She starts her farmer's market Wednesday. Just
Yeah,
saying.
the farmer's market's on
Farmer's
Wednesday.
market, right.
But, yeah, I had emailed them so that
The Christmas tree.
that we're gonna start tackling the public outreach stuff after we have our, after we wrap up, or our June 14th date at Cornelius, and then we'll start handling that. Pushing it, I should say.
I haven't even had time to read my email, sorry.
Okay, Beth, you are up on
Okay.
land manager report.
All
And
right.
while she's getting ready, where are those two documents? They make it
Sent them that way.
that way? Do you have them, Beth?
Oh, yes.
Okay, thanks. These are going to be, can we go first? But we are. So they have them.
TRC at 8 o'clock.
So we'll take these up.
Yep.
With a motion, we'll plan to sell. And then that'll be the commissioner call her up and say, yeah, whenever you're ready, Beth. No, we still have work after. You have 10.
I guess I will preface this by saying that you all are welcome to peruse this at your leisure at another time also. It's very clickable, so you can go through it. I think the important things that we'll need to take action on tonight are to vote on approving the expense of $20, although I don't know if we need to do that anymore, but for the UNH workshop on easement monitoring, which has a companion in-person class as well. And we got a correspondence from Clint Havens in Public Works about 7.5 Willow Street, saying that when his crew has time, would he like us to clear a way on that? He got a resident reached out to him, basically saying, hey, can we make this accessible? And he forwarded that to me and just said, like, when I have time, I might be able to do this. So he already did something similar at the Shepherd parcel. And this is less formal than the slide deck that I was doing before, because in the interest of time, it's just a lot quicker to be able to show you. So this is the Shepherd parcel. I don't know if you went there before, but they graded this area, put some gravel in, cleared some of the smaller trees, and put it so there's a little drive. There's not like a parking area necessarily yet, but there's a drive there.
Are vehicles
And-
gonna go in there? Because I don't think that was part of the plan for Shepherd.
Say again?
Are vehicles gonna go into this area, or it looks like it's been made wide enough for a vehicle to go in?
So, that is one of the fabulous things that I learned at this Conservation 101, which is to review the easements before you monitor, right?
Right, exactly,
Which
yep.
seems kind of basic. But so, referring to the document that Margie Ives had put together, there used to be a parking area here.
Right, a parking area, but I guess what I'm referring to is what appears to be a trail in there. It looks like it's wide enough for vehicles.
Yes, so that's the intent.
The
Is-
intent is for vehicles to go in there? 'Cause-
Not to go in the trails, but to be able to go in enough to park in.
Yeah, the parking area is gonna be on the shoulder, not, the vehicles aren't going into the property.
Right, I guess that was my point, is whether the vehicles are going into
It's
the
not
property.
being
'cause
designed for that use,
No,
but a
that's
vehicle
wide
would
That
be.
looks wider in the picture than it really is.
It looks
You-
very wide.
Yeah, it's not that way.
Well, I will say, yes, like, I didn't want to pull my car in there. You know what I mean? Like,
How are we
it's,
going to prevent vehicles from going in there and just using the shouldered parking area? I guess that,
It would be hard to go in there with a car. I'm sorry. It would be really hard to go in there with, you would have to have like a Jeep with,
It looks
Yeah.
like we're
I
using
mean, I
a
was in my
tracked
truck and I
wheelbarrow.
didn't want to go
Yeah.
in there.
I think the pictures are a little,
it looks, yeah, it
Yeah,
looks
lo-
wide enough for,
yeah, it's not,
It's a wide angle lens.
yeah, it's
oh,
not.
okay,
Is-
okay.
Clint's putting in a shoulder that maybe 2 or 3 cars could probably pull off the road
Right.
and be on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Pulling into the property to the picnic area with a fire pit and stuff like that, you would need, you could probably do it with an ATV or something. You're not gonna do it with a vehicle.
Beth, one of those images, as they were rolling
Yes.
by, you had an ash that had emerald ash borer tracks in it.
Okay, I was
And
wondering.
so it's like pointing
Yeah.
that out to the general public if they have trees, yep.
Oh,
I
wow,
think it's the next
how lucky was
image.
it that I just happened to click that one?
Yep.
That one, yeah, that's
Oh,
it. That's got the
yes.
ash borer. Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
So that's a clear track of an emerald ash borer. If you kept peeling up the bark, it would ultimately get up and it kind of just goes in a circle right at the end.
So, can I just say something? Okay, so Grace, here's a good opportunity, a piece of public outreach, of course, is to educate the public as they walk along the trail. We might want to make some sort of signage to educate them about the elm ash borer and what it's all about, and show them the example here.
Nice.
The tree is probably dead, isn't it?
Yeah, it's gotta be.
Yeah,
But it's an
even
education,
been removed
because-
it's an educational example that could help the public understand the issue.
so, unless there are any other comments on the Shepherd parcel, I can move on to the 7.5 Willow Street, that we need to take action on, or, whatever, vote on. So just to orient you, this is where the parcel is. So this is the Rotary, and so it's sort of down here towards Wyndham. This is the parcel here. This is the right-of-way that is in question, I guess. That's what's being discussed. and what I will show you. And so photos. I took a lot of photos, and in the interest of time, did not organize them necessarily into a slide deck. But I also wanted to get feedback on if that's something that you want me to put time into generally, because it is time consuming to put them all on a slide deck versus I could come to the meeting with just a folder with photos. And I guess that's just a preference that you can let me know what your preference is. Do you want me to spend the time putting it together so it's less time in the meeting, or make it, quicker in the background and maybe we have some more photos to go through. But anyway, so this is where the entrance would be to the parcel, the right-of-way. There's a residential house over there, the residential house over there, so it's very much in between the two. It's currently overgrown with bittersweet and other stuff. There's some wild grapes in there, actually. But there's a lot, definitely. Is behind the bittersweet. You can see it's pretty overgrown in there. And please feel free to stop me at any time if there's a photo that piques your interest that you want me to stop on.
Oh, that really looks nice with the white birch.
Yeah, the birches there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is going just in a little ways, not very far into the right of way.
So this is a property that doesn't currently have any trail outline or maintenance done.
As far as
Gonna kill it.
I'm aware, it
No,
doesn't
we
have
acquired
any trail.
it and we didn't put a trail in. I think we intended to somewhere down the line, but we didn't get to it.
So basically, yeah, what Clinton Havens is asking, and I don't know how much he intends to clear or what the plan is. That has not been made, that the details, I guess, of that we haven't discussed. But just, this is overgrown with bittersweet. I have a resident asking me
So a
to clear
resident-
it. Do you want me to clear it?
Yeah, so a resident went to Clint, said, we want to access the property, and Clint has asked us, do we want him to open it up? And, I mean, I love the fact that we have a relationship with DPW now like that,
Yeah,
because we
that's
didn't have that,
exciting.
for a long time.
Right?
So, I mean, my position is, as an individual member, anytime that we can get DPW to help us, I would say overwhelmingly yes. And, and also with this project, so that's how I feel about it. Yeah, so it looks like Eileen.
Could I just add, I think I'm very excited also that he's willing to do this for us. I just would like an opportunity for the commission, maybe if the trail route could be flagged ahead of the work so we could see where it's going to go and we could kind of agree that it's a good placement for the trail. And then be like, yes, let's do it.
How wide is that easement, Beth?
I don't know, because I've only just gained the skills to be able to figure that out. So I can't say with certainty how wide it is, but it appears to be as wide as the road.
So 50
a
feet
typical,
probably.
yeah, like a typical two-way road.
I think it's a great opportunity.
So, Beth and I could go walk it, and part of it I could help her understand laying out a trail
Yeah.
across. From some of our conversations, the way the trail is already laid out on other property,
Yeah.
but,
Would love it.
But nothing's been laid out on
Yeah,
And
this.
we
that-
might even, you might even find trails in that property once you get in there. There's a chance that there's trails in there.
Potential, yeah,
one of the considerations, though, would be it's conservation land, and we want it available to the public, but it also looks like it probably serves some wildlife habitat for that neighborhood.
Right, so we
And
want to
so-
look at where that trail's going to go.
Right, and how,
Before we-
up at the
before we
upper end, it
authorize
looks
it.
like it's by water, so you'd want to lessen the impact up at that other end.
Yeah.
So there's some things to consider as it's being laid out.
So you want to get back to Clint and tell him that, who's the second person on that committee now?
On land maintenance?
Jay, so that, you, Bob, and Jay will take a look at that, that entrance and come up with a plan, bring it back to our next meeting, and then we can take action as a commission. Does that sound good?
That is, I believe, one of the properties that is up for review from that email that we read, if I remember correctly.
Shepherd, Caris, and Sawyer are the three
Oh, okay.
properties.
Thought it was Willow.
Yeah, I thought it was too. Huh.
My notes are just wrong. I just wanted to make sure that if any changes were gonna happen, that I would
Yeah.
be aware to.
Okay,
All right.
continue on, Beth.
Yeah.
It's 5:20?
It's, yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
8:15. It's 8:15.
honestly, I can end there. There's lots of fun stuff that we could look at. I made a video with the footage that Jay sent me of the Build-A-Bed workshop that we had. It's 4 minutes long. And there's photos I can show you.
Do you still need to vote on your workshop?
I am not sure. I'm gonna defer to Ricardo on that.
Yeah, we'll do it because we don't have that other thing set
Yeah.
up. We're gonna set up the rest of that later this meeting.
Okay.
So,
Great. So then,
Actually, why don't
yes, we need a vote on the next. And I will say, these two workshops were revolutionary for me. They really brought home just an understanding of this stuff that I was definitely lacking before, that I'm very glad that I was able to
awesome.
to watch this. And I will say, for any commissioners who are interested in absorbing the information also, who maybe feel like that is lacking for them, I took notes on it, so if you don't feel like watching the 2-hour video, you can just review the notes, but also the video recording is available there for you as well.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, Beth.
Did you pay it yet? No, this is
I have not paid it this
What's the
yet,
new one?
no,
That
because
covered-
we were gonna wait to vote on it before I did
We
that.
covered the easement 101, that's covered, right?
Correct, that's covered, and
Okay,
that's
so
all
we'll
been
add
dealt
that.
with.
Alright.
Eileen has, forwarded that invoice already, or receipt, whatever.
Okay,
So this one is for 20, the last one was for 25, this is for 20.
we did the 25, we have
We
to do
did
the
the
20.
25,
Yeah, so
and
we
this
have,
one's
we have a
20.
bunch of them we're gonna do, that Mr. Metz is gonna do when we get to, other
Okay.
business.
So we're all set?
We're good.
All right.
Council liaison report, I talked to Councilor Foot earlier, and there's nothing to report, so we're gonna move on to,
Actually, Mr. Chair,
I'm sorry.
sorry.
Things change in an instant.
Yes. Had time to sit here and think about it.
Go ahead.
For those who don't know, the town administrator is retiring at the end of this month. There's 2 meetings left that he will be participating in. Tomorrow, June 3rd, and June 17th will be his last official town council meeting. He's our longest-serving town administrator we've had here in town of Derry, 8.5, almost 9 years. And my cemetery project, I'm looking for volunteers, if anyone's interested in helping with that. What that consists of is going up and uncovering veterans' markings and cleaning them up, making them nice and neat, a little elbow grease involved, a little shoveling. If anyone's interested in that, it's at the cemetery here in Derry, Forest Hills. And they can reach out to me at charlesfoot@derrynh.gov, and I'd be glad to have you. It can be 10 minutes of your time, or it could be 10 hours or 10 days. Glad to have you. And speaking of emails, the town emails have changed over to .gov. I don't know if you all are aware of that. So everything now is .gov. So
Yeah, it was good, though. It was automatic. Everything, all the
now,
passwords
yeah.
switched
for
and
a
stuff.
few months, it'll automatically,
Yeah.
but down the road, it may
May change.
kick back. So just make sure it's .gov.
Got it.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Foot.
I got a question for Charlie.
Mr. Metz?
How you doing with the mapping program? Were you able to get something, or for the headstones, or the footstones?
Yep, so another member of the VFW's been actively pursuing that, as far as going out there and physically taking pictures of it and writing down by hand. And we have met with IT here quickly, but we have another meeting gonna be coming up and try to cross-reference them and see. The project last year, we did well over 1,000 headstones, so we've uncovered that some that weren't even there on documentation. So-
And some go way back.
And some go way, talking Spanish-American War, there's a lot, so.
Yeah.
Good project.
I appreciate you doing that, Charlie.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It
Glad
is
to
kind
have
of
you.
a fun day if you go do it, but
Huh?
it is kind of fun if you go do it.
Yeah, you
'Cause
saw
then
it for
you-
a couple days afterwards, but yeah.
Well, but you
Yeah.
kind of get to know who,
I could
you
say,
you get a brief understanding of who these people were, when they served,
Right.
all that, so.
And we do have a Medal of Honor recipient that's up there, so, and I know TJ Cullinane has done tours of the cemetery, so he's also a good historian of the town of Derry, so if anyone has questions, reach out to TJ about anything specific, any veterans up there, and, yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Counselor Foot. We're going to go into other business. I have a pretty decent stack, but I'm going to try to go through it quick. First order, Mr. Metz has a motion regarding blanket expenditures. Mr. Metz.
Make a motion to allow the Conservation Commission Chair to approve up to $250 for the purpose of projects, supplies, or programs without commission approval through the end of the fiscal year 2026.
All right, so there's a motion on the floor to allow the chair to spend up to $250 for commission business without the approval of the commissioners through the next fiscal year, so it's for 13 months. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
So we have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone in opposition? Motion carries. We're going to be getting a debit card for Beth. Town of Derry debit card. It's going to have a $250 per transaction limit. So anything over $250 would come before the commission and be voted. But for the odds and ends, especially during the next 3 months when we meet monthly, this is going to allow us to buy things that we need.
will that also, does that motion also cover if someone, like an individual commission member, wants to attend a workshop? Will that cover that as well?
Yeah.
Because I want to attend the Prime Wetlands Workshop that's coming up in Bow on June 18th.
Yeah, good.
It's $20 to attend that.
Yeah,
There's
so the
another
way
one
that
in
that's, the
Derry.
way it's gonna work now, which is gonna expedite these small expenditures at a high rate is, Eileen, the way that'll work now is all you would do is send a communication to the chair saying, I wanna attend this workshop, it's $20. I approve it for you. In your case, you just pay for it and get reimbursed. But I approve it for you, and it doesn't have to come before the commission every time.
Okay,
So on all of those.
but I'd still need to submit it to get reimbursed.
Yeah, you still have to pay for it and get reimbursed. In Beth's case, because she's gonna probably do a lot, she can just use the debit card to sign up for it. I wonder if we can bring that up. I wonder if maybe that same debit card can be used for commissioners.
I was just gonna say, I could register, if I do have access
Or
to a
you could
debit card,
register
I could
her.
register you
I already
under.
did register.
Yeah,
for it,
but
just so
for
you know,
future
I was
things
gonna
like that.
submit my-
But we might be able to do it in the future. Go ahead, Bob.
No, I was gonna say, some of the classes will accept debit, other will not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
just a warning.
Okay, so we're working on that. I'm gonna talk to the finance and get that rolling. I gotta give kudos to DPW, Clint Havens, and how responsive he's been to
Indeed.
the many things that we're doing. I mean, we haven't enjoyed that kind of relationship with the DPW since I've been here. So I think it's only gonna get better when Mr. Fowler takes over as the TA, so I'm excited about that. You know, we have an ambitious group, a lot to do, and it's nice to have them have our back. So, yeah, I'm excited about that. Social media, I did watch the meeting. I didn't attend, and there wasn't a lot of excitement about social media. I'm pretty excited about social media. I kind of want to make it our way to communicate what we're doing to the community. So I feel strongly about it. I'd like to get the pulse of the commission, how they feel. I'd like to direct Beth to either get involved in it or get help getting involved. You know, I have a number of businesses that I own and run, and I hire people to do my social media because it's a time-consuming task. And if we have to do some of that, I think we should do it. I think that's the way people communicate. It's the way people get their news and information. And you know, we're doing a lot of great stuff for the community. I think it's something we should do. So, the pulse of the commissioners on social media. Val's a thumbs up. Eileen, Bob, what do you guys think? How do you feel about Bob? Zero social media for Bob. How do you feel about it, though? How do you feel about the commission posting their activities, their accomplishments, their goals, and kind of vision on social media? How do you
I don't
feel?
have a problem with that. I'm just saying I would personally don't have it.
You're not going to head it up.
Right.
You're not going to head it up. Bob's not heading it up. Jay, Grace, Charlie, how do you guys feel about social media?
It's a good idea.
Yeah,
Yes,
yes.
I approve of it.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
All right, good. So Beth, if you got to get help, let's get help. But I want to find out how we can have a Derry Conservation Commission Facebook page.
Yeah, I mean, I have a good relationship with a couple of professional, people who do this for a living, which is not me, I do my best with my little business, but I'm definitely not a professional with marketing. But I'd be happy to reach out to my network
And let's most
on the
importantly
behalf.
figure out what the town allows and doesn't allow, because I
Yeah,
know
I
there's
was
some
just
strict.
So we
say
have
that, as long
those
as the
social
town
media
blesses off
regs.
on it.
You sent that to us,
Yeah.
so
Yes.
I know
Yeah,
there's
so as
there's
long as
rules out there.
we're compliant, but I
Yeah.
think we should make it a goal. Val?
I'm just a little behind on getting some of these documents, so if
Yeah,
they could
I
be
can send it to you.
re-forwarded.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I can, you know what, I'm just gonna, since you brought it up, I will just resend the social media regs to everybody, just so that everybody has them.
Thank you.
Great idea.
Excellent. All right, good. So we do have to take up a couple of housekeeping items for SELT. SELT, we have 2 communications from SELT. I'm going to kind of package them all up. We have the Karras property, the Sawyer property, and the Shepherd property. There's 4 questions that SELT asks us every year. And before Val can reply to Nicole at SELT, I'd like to pose these questions to the commission. I kind of know the answers to them, but let's do it. Have there been any changes since our last visit to the Karras property, the Sawyer property, or the Shepherd Park property? Other than the
Yeah, I wouldn't call that a visit so much to the
yeah, so
Shepherd
I don't we
property.
probably don't need, all we did is clean, it was an existing
Regular
parking area,
maintenance.
and we kind of cleaned it up, so.
The Shepherd did that, the town did that dredging,
Yeah, that was
Reading.
almost 3 years ago, though.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
Should
only
probably
thing
be
I can think
mentioned at least.
Well, that was 3 years ago. This is since last year.
Oh, since last year,
Yeah.
they just want to know?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I will, actually, on that note, I would like to bring up something that I learned from the easement 101 course, right, which is that if in the easement, right, like SELT, or if we are not the owners of the property, then, well, a landowner needs to give notice to the easement holder before they make any changes to the property or like perform any work. So for example, like, like with the Shepherd property, I'm not sure, I haven't read the easement, right? Like, I don't know if we own that property outright or what, but,
We own that property.
yeah, so, we would need to give notice to the easement holder, which is SELT.
So,
Again, I haven't read the easement, but, before performing any more work at that property.
I think it's a little, what they consider work, like we're allowed to do maintenance without informing the easement holder. So we can, like what we did with the parking area,
Okay.
just that, what they're talking about is if you were gonna cut in a new trail or do a timber harvest or something like that, then they have to be notified.
Okay,
But we're allowed to maintain in its present form, clean it up and all that stuff.
okay.
And I think what we did at Shepherd was pretty much just clean
Right,
up what we
okay.
were doing. All right, so second question is, do you have any upcoming or planned changes for the Shepherd Park property, the Sawyer property, or the Karras property? Commission? No. And do we have any plans to sell or transfer the Shepherd property, the Sawyer property, or the Karras property? No. And the last question is, do you have any questions or concerns? And I have none. Does anyone else have any questions or concerns? Seeing none, I'm going to hand this off to our new chair, and she's going to contact SELT, and we do get paid by SELT. If we do a good job, they give us $500, so if we don't get the $500, you're fired. We're gonna,
Take back that raise you got.
we're gonna take you off that committee. That's all I have. Any commissioners have anything they want to present? Mr. Metz?
Yep. I move that we approve up to $300 to purchase an ArcGIS license for our land manager, Beth Carver, to be used to help mapping trails. I'd like to take that money from the administrative accounts.
Let's hear a first. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Grace. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone in opposition? Motion carries unanimous. Anything else,
Okay.
Mr. Metz?
Do we need to approve the $20 for her since we did the $250?
We do, because we're not going to, I don't know how long that's going to take to get done.
Okay. Move to approve $20 fee for a workshop for Beth in the next couple weeks. So wetlands workshop, is that the
This
one?
is not the wetlands workshop, although I'd be happy to attend that as well.
Eileen's
This
doing that
is-
one.
Can you
Yeah.
amend that to include my June 18th attendance at the Prime Wetlands Workshop?
I can.
In Bow
What's the
for
name of yours?
$20?
Easement monitoring.
Okay. So let's begin again. Move to approve $20 each for Beth's workshop and Eileen's workshop in the next coming weeks.
Second.
It's a first and a second. First by Mr. Metz, second by Grace. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Unanimous. Anything else, Mr. Metz? That's it?
No,
Keep going.
kind of off topic. Tammy Lampus has been our secretary for a little while, not quite a year yet. But she was given an award for outstanding service to the school district, I believe, yes?
Wow.
The Nancy Apostle Award last week, and I would like to congratulate Tammy as I have that, one of those crystal apples on my mantle. So I know what that means, and I knew Nancy when she worked here, and I just want to congratulate Tammy on that honor. It is a special honor, so.
Nice job, Tammy. Nice job.
That's
Anything
it,
else?
I'm done.
All right, last piece I have is, now that we have a full slate of commissioners, I'm very excited about that. We still have a couple openings as alternates. Everyone is going to assume their role. I'm going to work with Jay. When I took over as chair, I said I wanted to get much more active in soliciting conservation properties, and Jay and I are going to work on a form letter and start sending letters to people that don't know about the benefits of conservation. So we're gonna get active about that. Secondly, Jay as secretary is gonna start working with Tammy on developing both the agenda and streamlining the minutes process. So Mr. Metz and I will feed to Jay any site plan reviews, and then Jay will note those on the agenda, and the agenda is going to be reformatted. Jay and Tammy met with our town clerk, right? Yeah, town clerk had a 1-hour meeting today on getting the minutes tightened up, and that's happening, so that's exciting. And then the last thing I have is I'm averaging 200 emails a day right now. So I want the commissioners to be just somewhat selective on when they're including me in their conversations with other people. I definitely want to be abreast of what's happening, but I don't need to have each and every email on each and every project. There's a lot of people doing. There's a lot of stuff happening between meetings. So if we can just think about before you do the reply all. If we can just cut down the number of emails maybe that I'm seeing, that would be helpful to me. My battery on my phone will last longer too. All right, anything else? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Metz, second by Grace. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good night.
Hearing none.
8:30.